Recording is beginning. And there we go. So I want to welcome everybody to today's inaugural HLS Viva Monthly Live. My name is Mike Giannotti, and I'm joined today by several of my colleagues. So we have here with the cool, her home office setup. Every time I see it, I'm like, I want that. So we have Jasmine, we have Jim up above with the Viva going. We have Jaspreet, who's suffering a little bit of a cold, but she's going to be monitoring chat and admitting people. And then the man of the hour, who we're going to be introducing in a bit, Dan, is from the product group, and we'll do a formal introduction when we get there. But just a quick reminder, you can always find us at our blog at aka.ms/HLS-blog. That's aka.ms/HLS-blog. Please be sure to check that out, bookmark it. We love to hear from you. You can comment on the things. We actively monitor those, and all upcoming events as well as recordings. That's where those are going to go. So keep that in mind. And without further ado, let's go ahead. Today's agenda, I already did introductions, but for today, we're going to be talking about, and every month, first Monday of each month, what's new in Microsoft Viva. So we'll be talking about that shortly. For just a few minutes, we're going to have a Smarter Health highlight demo by Jasmine. And with that, what happens is we have a national demo environment where we're always building new things, setting up and configuring components within that. And so Jasmine's actually going to show goals real quickly in 5 minutes or less. And we're going to see how we have that. And we encourage you to, work with your reps to talk with us and schedule a presentation. Then we're going to move on to Dan. And Dan Holme is a principal PM for Viva Engage, which we're not going to steal any of his thunder with the what's new pieces, because there was some really cool stuff last week that we're going to talk about some of the others, and I'll let him address that. But he's going to then be presenting Engage. And then after that, we're going to have open QA. So without further ado, I've got two things I'm going to show very quickly. By the way, this presentation will also be posted with the recording, so you'll be able to get these links, so don't worry about that. But real quickly, last week was a big week in, that's not the one I want this one, in the world of Viva. So Satya Nadella last week introduced all the new goodness that's coming out with Microsoft Viva, not only across the existing modules, but new modules that continue to deliver increasing value and really to help to improve the employee experience. So I've provided a link. You can get to it real quickly here. You can watch the video on demand if you didn't see it live. There's also, when you come on down, some great resources. Some of these are going to bring you to some various areas, including the Viva blog. Again, we'll give you the link to that, so don't worry about trying to grab that. But in here, they have some of the announcements, including, some of the new experiences in Viva Engage. But in addition, there's a great overview, and I love this overview here. You're going to want to take a look. A couple of things that they mention real quickly, and again, you'll have the link to this. First of all, we're going to see a demo quickly of Viva Goals, just recently launched. It's a fantastic new addition to the Microsoft Viva stable. They announced Microsoft Viva Pulse. I'm super stoked for this personally, and it's really going to help to improve those manager insights and really looking at organizational health. We're going to be looking at a new piece coming around the corner called Leadership Corner. I think Dan's going to talk about that, so I'm going to save that. But in addition to Leadership Corner, this is something customers of mine have been screaming for forever. Viva Amplify. They didn't call it Amplify, but they said, I want to go and post and go multi-channel communications and have metrics and all that. Great content here. You're going to want to take a look at the video around that. And there is a link to the preview program if you're interested in with your organization getting involved. We talked about last week some enhancements to Viva Learning, integration with LinkedIn Learning Hub, which is a big deal because we have our integration, Learning Hub has its integrations, and when you start to bring it all together, magic happens. And so we have customers of mine that are actively looking at this. They've been involved with this effort, and I'm totally stoked around that. Viva Answers is something else that's going to be coming. I think, are you going to talk at all, Dan, about that? So I'll just skip that. Let's just say take answers to a whole new level, subject matter expertise. And there's a whole bunch more here around Viva Sales and others. Jim, I believe you had some stuff you wanted to share quickly. Do you want to kick me out?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. So a couple of announcements last week, just go in a little bit more depth. So there's a new home experience coming to Viva Connections. It's really going to provide a streamlined experience. It's going to incorporate insights across all the Viva apps. You'll have an additional rich feed that will come in and provide information from across Microsoft 365, including newly released stories. The Viva Dashboard provides personalized information at a glance, allows you to interact with first and third party and custom apps that you can put in the dashboard. And what's really cool is it provides navigation to all the Viva apps as well.
Yeah, that to me is huge, right? Because I had customers asking, what are you going to do? Add a new icon every time? We're going to get into icon hell on the left rail.
Right.
So having a unified place to get to everything, that's the bomb.
Yeah, this will be really key to driving that world-class employee experience. All right. The other update is the Viva Daily Briefing. It's going to bring personalized learning reminders, AI-based suggested topics, automatic time scheduling. This is really, just an extension of what the briefing does already. And some of the future updates that will be coming, I think, is really awesome. Is email briefing on recaps for key meetings that you missed. And it actually can help you schedule time for that as well, to go over those meetings and any collateral from those meetings. So that one I'm pretty excited about, because you get double booked, triple booked, and it's a good way to remind you that you have something that you need to go back and watch. And that's it. Those are the two, some of the new announcements from last week in a little bit more detail.
Thank you. So Jasmine, I believe you're going to show us Viva Goals real quickly in Smarter Health.
Yep, I will. So I will start sharing my screen just a little bit. Hopefully you should be able to see my screen. So I'm within Teams. Right now it's showing from a browser, but right now I'm in Teams. I'm just starting right now within Connections, and I'm going to click on Viva Goals. And within Viva Goals, this allows you as an organization to track your objectives and key results, or your OKRs, which in essence, it helps give your employees alignment and purpose with the work that they're doing. I can tell you that me personally, I don't like busy work. I like knowing that the work that I do is going to have impact at a higher level. And so with Viva Goals, it gives transparency to what are those core priorities as an organization and how each person's work aligns to that. So I'm just getting started right now on the organization's core priorities. But if I want to dig a little deeper and take a look at my objectives and key results that I'm personally responsible for within my organization, I can go to my OKRs. And then when you go there, then I can see, okay, well, what are my core objectives? And then what are those things that are being used to measure whether or not I'm hitting those objectives? And so here, what's really nice about this is that you can kind of like have a hierarchical view of what work is being done or what objectives or key results are being measured. As well as if you have strategic projects or strategic initiatives that may be part of those objectives or key results, you can also take a look at that as well. So in this instance, I'm going to look at my operational efficiency objective. And if I go down, I have another sub objective, which is improve help desk efficiency. And then within there, I have a key result that's being measured regarding, whether or not we're adding service password resets here. And then I also have a project. And you'll notice that there are icons that reflect each different item. Bullseye is an objective, a gauge is a key result, and then a calendar is a little project. And so I'm just going to click on the calendar, and then within there, I can do a check-in to give a status update as to what's happening for that particular project, just to keep the leadership as well as my management aware of what's taking place. And if need be, I can have different milestones that are then associated with this particular project. And in that way, there's another way of keeping track of how well this project is going. One of the great things about this product is, in addition to being within Teams, you can also look at it within the browser in itself. And there's some additional content. What you'll see is this nice quick guide for those who are wanting to get started up and running right from the browser. It'll take a quick guide, add some objectives, connect to Microsoft Teams, as well as do some learning. There's learning integrated as well as different integrations. One of the great things about Viva Goals is currently its ability to integrate with different Microsoft products, not all quite yet, but that is on the docket, as well as third-party programs or that you can connect Viva Goals to. They're going to continue to add integrations with other products to Viva Goals. And so it's really awesome. So there's so much to unpack here, but in such a little bit of time. So I'm sorry I can't go too deep. But one other thing I want to bring out is that along with some of those integrations, I'm just going to pull this out. This is People in Microsoft Viva, which is another feature that's going to be released within Viva. And this is a way to introduce, to build your network of people with different subject matter expertise, and then curate that to build your network to get additional information and connect with people that makes sense for you. But additionally, as it relates to Viva Goals, you'll notice that what feature that will be coming is the ability to take a look at a particular team and then see what goals they're aligned to. So that helps you in planning how you're working with your team so that you could be more strategic in your engagements with different teams and seeing what they're working on, how it matters, and then how you can help and contribute to that when you're connecting with them. So with that, that's my short little run through. And as Mike mentioned earlier, if you would like to take a deeper dive into Viva Goals, definitely reach out to us and we will get that going. Jerry?
All right. So I see we had some other questions. We'll get back with those. And I see that, Jaspreet's already answering. Thank you, Jaspreet. So without further ado, I don't want to take away, this is really why people are tuning in today. Want to introduce Dan Holme. Dan is Principal Program Manager for Microsoft Viva Engage. He absolutely rocks it. What's great about Dan, if you ever get a chance to see him, he has a lot of breadth across a whole swath. I remember the first time I actually saw him present, he was able to just kind of start shifting gears across a whole range of the product set in 365. And when we talk about engaging employees in Viva Engage, that's crucial. So without further ado, I'm going to shut up. Dan, the floor is yours.
Hey there, are you able to hear me? Okay, that's good. Sorry, Teams crashed just as you were introducing me, so I'm going to see if I can get this back up and running without having to restart Teams altogether. Let's see. See if I can make this work here. Share my screen. And if you could give me a thumbs up, Mike, if you can see my slides. I cannot hear you now. That is not a good sign. Oh, you can. Okay, so you can hear me and see my slides. All right, I'm working in the dark here, so I'll do my best to get my camera on as well. Although it looks like that is not going to happen.
I muted my mic. That's why you didn't hear me.
I apologize. My camera is not going to turn back on during this, so I do apologize for everyone.
That's
but it means
okay.
to get the full screen presentation, which is great. Hey, everybody, and thank you again so much for inviting me here. My name is Dan Holme, and I'm one of the product leaders on the Viva Engage team. As has been said, we've had an amazing opportunity over the last several months to start sharing the vision of Viva Engage and how we empower you to connect everyone across working groups and business silos to foster a sense of belonging and inclusion, as well as to drive really significant business results by activating people to contribute their very best. We've got a very short time here today, so I'm going to do my best to cover a lot of information quickly. This will not be an opportunity to go super deep on any one area, but hopefully it will paint a picture for you, help you see the forest for the trees, and open up the opportunity to have deeper discussions in the future. So first, let's talk about what Viva Engage is. As part of Microsoft Viva, Viva Engage is about connecting people across working groups, across business silos, so that everyone can feel included and invested in the mission of the organization. When you think about what an employee experience is, it must be people-centric. So let's take a moment and think about what we want people to feel when they come to work. How does a great employee experience make you feel? It makes you feel like you belong and that you're connected to and supported by your colleagues, that you can express and share your very best self, contributing your experience and expertise, that your leaders care and are including you in the mission, listening to your concerns, responding to your questions, and helping you be part of the mission. And finally, allowing you to find answers, solve problems, and contribute your own expertise to the mission of the organization. That's what Viva Engage is all about. Viva Engage allows you to build communities, empower people to share experiences, spark more effective engagement between leaders and employees, and create opportunities for people to share knowledge, find answers, and crowdsource ideas. In the end, the goal is to make everyone feel included, connected, and invested. So in July, we announced the Viva Engage app in Microsoft Teams. And the Viva Engage app is an evolution of the Communities app. It replaces the Yammer Communities app in Teams and will soon do so in Outlook as well. And it's available to all Microsoft 365 customers at no additional charge. The Viva Engage app integrates the employee experiences and scenarios powered by Yammer into the flow of your work in Teams and Outlook. So it's backed by Yammer, but it's integrating into Teams and Outlook, as the promise of Microsoft Viva is to integrate formerly siloed employee experiences into the flow of work. Viva Engage empowers people to connect and contribute their own experience and expertise through storyline and stories. And in addition to the Viva Engage app in Microsoft Teams, people can use Yammer as a standalone app on web, desktop, and mobile. Both are backed by Yammer content and services. So what happens in Viva Engage shows up in Yammer. What happens in Yammer shows up in Viva Engage in Teams and Outlook. And in addition to these core capabilities that we announced in July, this last week, we announced that in early 2023, we will be introducing new features for Viva Suite customers, including Leadership Corner and Answers. And we'll take a look at those in just a moment. So I'd like to quickly do a quick demo of Viva Engage so you can see it in action. And then we'll take a moment and look at each of the use cases and scenarios in a bit more detail. So here in Microsoft Teams, we see the Viva Engage app installed on the left rail. And as was mentioned earlier, it will also be integrated into the new Home experience powered by Viva Connections. On the Viva Engage Home, we see a feed, which for those of you who've been using Yammer in the past will look familiar. I can see stories and announcements from leaders and people across the organization, discussions, polls, opportunities to share and discuss media, questions and answers, and praise. There's plenty of opportunity for people to engage with reactions, to reply, to vote, and the powerful Q&A capability supports answer, upvoting, and best answer to really help harness knowledge. You'll notice on this home experience, the new tabs at the top. The tabs allow you to navigate to showcase workloads inside of Viva Engage, including communities, storylines, and answers. On the Communities tab, we can see a new experience that helps me navigate to my communities and discover new communities that I can connect to across my organization. You'll also notice on the right what we call the quick navigation. The quick navigation is a new way to navigate to your communities and your favorite communities from anywhere in the Viva Engage application. And of course, communities are a core construct that bring people together from across the organization around shared interests, topics, job roles, needs, or business initiatives. So here, for example, we see a sales best practices community that connects members of our sales force from across products and regions to share best practices, ask questions, get answers, and share news about sales efforts. In July, we introduced a new capability for storylines. So let's jump over to storyline for a moment. Your storyline is your place to share and express yourself at work. You have an opportunity to customize the cover photo and to share updates, perspectives, and experiences through posts and stories. Posts are familiar constructs from Yammer and other social media. Posts can include photos and images. Stories are media-centric posts, short videos and images that allow you to really capture the essence of an experience and share it in an engaging new way. The Storylines tab brings together stories and posts from people you follow from across the organization. So here on the Storyline feed, I see posts from people I'm already following and recommended posts from interesting people that I can choose to follow. I'm also encouraged to connect with coworkers and leaders across the organization. So I'm now able to connect with my colleagues as human beings at work to understand what's important to them and what they're experiencing, as well as to stay up to date with knowledge they're sharing. Leaders can leverage storyline posts for new superpowers to engage employees. Let's jump over to a leader storyline. Here we have a storyline from our CEO, who is connected to everyone at the organization. She's able to share vision, thoughts, and updates using the same construct of posts and stories. She's able to praise people for reaching milestones, to amplify cultural initiatives, and to express herself as a human being, to drive a more human connection to leadership. Leaders also have audiences that they can reach with important need-to-know information. So if Carol has an important announcement to make, she can choose to make an announcement and it will reach her audience across her chosen channels, including Teams and Outlook. I'll go ahead and paste in an announcement and click post, and soon that announcement will show up across Microsoft Viva Engage, Viva Connections in the home feed, and it will send notifications to her audience across Teams and Outlook. We're also introducing a new experience for employees called Leadership Corner. Leadership Corner is an employee's personalized view of their leaders based on the audiences that employee is in and the leaders that employee has chosen to follow. So I can see leaders who are featured by my organization, and I can catch up with what leaders are sharing through their posts and stories. I can even see activity grouped by social campaigns. And I can get a view of my leaders and leaders I might know who I might want to follow. As an employee, Leadership Corner doesn't just give me a way to catch up with leaders. It also gives me a way to engage with leaders through Ask Me Anything events. An Ask Me Anything event is a asynchronous event that encourages people to come together and ask questions around one or more topics. So here we can see an Ask Me Anything event about diversity and inclusion. I can post a question, I can view other people's questions, I can even upvote questions to give leaders a signal to what's important for their employees. There's even an option for anonymous submission if leaders or moderators want to implement that. Next, there's the view that leaders and organizers have. Ask Me Anything events are moderated, so leaders and organizers have the opportunity to review questions and decide what gets published to the broader audience. They can also see insights into those questions that are being asked. Leaders and communicators also can benefit from rallying employees around an initiative, a cause, or a campaign. And we're introducing social campaigns in Microsoft Viva. Let me get to that demo here. So we're introducing social campaigns in Microsoft Viva. Social campaigns are based on hashtags. Here's a post, for example, about our giving campaign. I can click in to see the campaign page where posts and stories about this campaign are aggregated into one place. I can choose to follow that campaign, and I can see goals for the campaign, whether those are monetary or engagement or anything else. I'm also able to see who's sponsoring the campaign, tap into shared resources. And as a campaign manager, I have the ability to see rich insights about the campaign, to understand how the campaign is landing, and to gain perspective on what top conversations might be. Finally, we're bringing actionable analytics to leaders themselves. So as a leader, I have an opportunity to see analytics about not only engagement around my own content, but broader engagement across my audience. I can, based on privacy protected analytics, I'm able to see engagement trends and sentiment. I'm able to see top conversations that help me identify how I can lean in, engage, and make the most impact with my limited time as a leader. And finally, we're introducing a new way to crowdsource knowledge and answers from across the organization. The answers capability is an enterprise-wide Q&A that is a blending of social question and answer and Viva topics. Here on the Answers Home, I see a feed of questions that I might be able to contribute based on topics that I'm related to. If I have a question, I can click in and ask a question. And AI will show me proposed results from conversations across the organization. I can look at those results and even engage with answer upvoting or marking best answer. If this question, if the proposed questions don't quite nail it for me, I have the opportunity to post this as a new question. I can associate a topic with the question. So I have the ability to say this is about virtual team building, for example, post it, and that question will then reach experts from across the organization automatically, leveraging the understanding that Viva Topics has about who are experts in the organization. And as I contribute, I have opportunities to understand the impact of my contribution to the broader knowledge and idea base in the organization. So that's a quick tour of Microsoft Viva Engage from a demo perspective. I'd like to spend a few moments stepping through what we saw here and really helping you understand the scenarios and how these pieces come together. We started by looking at communities. Communities have been part of Yammer since the inception of Yammer. And of course, Yammer was purchased by Microsoft just about 10 years ago, and now is fully integrated into Microsoft 365 and part of Microsoft Viva. Communities allow you to connect people across working groups and organizational silos based on shared interests, activities, supporting diversity and allyship, giving you a place to support onboarding and professional development with job-based communities, giving people a place to come together, share knowledge, and answer questions with knowledge communities. And communities can also be a powerful way to connect shared services and teams with the rest of the organization. For example, you might have an HR organization with a community where people can ask questions about HR and HR policies. Or you might be running a business initiative around sustainability or a cultural initiative around a cultural moment. And you can build communities to support those efforts. Communities have rich capabilities, including membership management, the ability to restrict posting, the ability to mark communities as official, and communities support both public or open communities as well as private communities. Communities are a core component of many of the other scenarios we looked at. In July, we introduced Storyline, and we took a quick look at Storyline in the demo, but let me call out its main purposes and capabilities. Your Storyline is your place to share your experiences and showcase your work. You can do that by creating posts and stories. And you can use your storyline in a number of ways to express and share yourself at work, including sharing work updates and experiences, praising colleagues, celebrating milestones, and showcasing your own work. You're able to build your network at work, extending from beyond your working groups to people across the organization. And this concept of a personal network at work is critical for supporting employee well-being and professional development. Oops, let me go back here a step here. We also mentioned stories, and I'd like to spend a moment talking about stories. Stories are one way to share. You can share with posts or stories. When you share a story, and when a story is shared and you play it back, there's this beautiful new immersive experience for the story. Stories can be in both portrait or landscape. And when you create a story, you can do that from either mobile or web. We support recording webcams as well as your entire desktop, or you can upload a previously created video. You can add a rich description, including app mentions, topics, and hyperlinks to make that post come to life and to give it context. And when people view your story, they can share their reactions, comment, or reply. Unlike in consumer social media, stories last forever on your storyline until if and when you choose to delete them. So the effort you put into creating a great story to share an experience or a learning or a perspective doesn't go to waste. Now let's return to and review our discussion of leadership capabilities. We covered a lot very quickly, so let's spend a moment talking about each capability. I referred to the fact that leaders can now be identified in Viva Engage. Anyone can be identified as a leader by administrators, and those leaders can then have audiences, and those audiences can be based on Azure AD groups or individual users. Basing audiences on groups allows changes in Active Directory to flow automatically into audiences, keeping audiences up to date. So for many organizations, you already have audiences for leaders. They're called distribution lists, and leaders use them to communicate with people through email. By defining the leader's audience as a distribution list, you now can ensure that whenever that distribution list is updated based on whatever existing business processes are in place, the leader's audience is updated as well. Now, by identifying leaders and audiences, we're able to unlock superpowers for those leaders and audiences. For example, Leadership Corner. Leadership Corner, as I mentioned, is a personalized hub for an employee to tap into and engage with their leaders. You'll see the leaders that are right for you based on the audiences you are in and the leaders you have chosen to follow. And on Leadership Corner, you can stay up to date with what's top of mind for your leaders by seeing their stories and posts, even seeing those grouped around topics and campaigns. And leaders can foster two-way dialogue and engagement with employees. Sorry, I forgot to build this as I went here, but we talked about all of those things there. And leaders now have this new capability for announcements that allow them to reach their audience with critical need-to-know information. A leader can create an announcement, select notification channels, and thereby reach their audience across Microsoft Viva, Yammer, Outlook, and Teams. So Viva Engage becomes a true multi-channel communications tool for leaders and communicators. And of course, communicators can support leaders because we have delegation. So leaders can delegate communications to their appropriate leads. Ask Me Anything events are a new capability that allows people to come together and ask questions. This isn't a live event with video. This is an asynchronous event that allows you to ensure you can reach people across geographies and time zones and bring people together to ask questions about one or more topics. AMA events are moderated, so organizers and moderators can control what questions are made visible to attendees. Participants can upvote questions, and there's even an option for anonymous submission. And when the event is completed, organizers get an event summary with rich insights into engagement at that AMA. And social campaigns are a new way to rally people around themes and initiatives. As we mentioned, campaigns get a page based on the hashtag of that campaign. Campaigns can have executive sponsors and resources and provide insights into engagements around the campaign. Campaign pages showcase the goals of the campaign and provide a feed of conversations and stories from across the organization using that particular hashtag. And one other key capability for leaders are analytics and coaching. Analytics provide insights into your personal engagement, how people are engaging with your content, your audience's engagement in campaigns, and engagement around Q&A. All of these are backed with privacy-protected analytics. So this is not a tool to spy on or drill into any one employee. These provide aggregated insights, including sentiment, that really are meant to guide engagement of leaders, to bring their attention to the places where, with their limited time, they can drive the greatest impact. And finally, we introduced Answers in Microsoft Eva. And Answers is the enterprise-wide social Q&A capability that gives you a way to see what questions you can contribute to, ask questions, and get answers from experts across the organization. Answers marries together social Q&A with topics powered by Viva Topics, enabling intelligent routing of questions to appropriate experts from across the organization. One additional scenario I'd like to call out, because it will dovetail with what you learn about Viva Amplify, is communications and engagement. Yammer and Viva Engage allow you to define audiences multiple ways, as open or closed, as public or private, and to send notifications to members across the applications where they work, allowing you, again, as a leader or communicator, to have a multi-channel communications tool. You can use these tools to share news and announcements, and you can create more engaging communications by incorporating video, events, and campaigns. Viva Engage supports delegation to communications leads and rich analytics backed by privacy to guide you to understand and improve your engagement across the organization. And last but not least, a quick view of how this fits together in Microsoft 365. What happens in Viva Engage reaches people wherever they work. The Viva Engage app integrates into Teams and Outlook. The Yammer app is the standalone app on web, desktop, and mobile. Announcements and posts show up in the Viva Connections feed, and conversations around topics, including Q&A, show up in Viva Topics. If you're an Outlook user, you'll get notifications in your inbox that allow you to view posts, stories, and announcements in line right in your inbox. You can even view video in line on Outlook on web. And SharePoint sites and custom web apps can embed the feeds to create customized experiences. And last but not least, if you're on the go, Viva Engage appears in the Microsoft Teams mobile app, as well as the standalone app, Yammer. And finally, for your IT organization, a couple of important things to understand about Viva Engage. Viva Engage experiences and services are backed by Yammer and SharePoint, so they're familiar and used by hundreds of millions of users worldwide. Content in Yammer and Viva Engage is ingested into the substrate as long as your network is in native mode. So that's one piece of specific guidance, is if your Yammer network is not yet in native mode, we strongly encourage you to get to native mode because it unlocks new capabilities and features, as well as compliance capabilities. There's a new way to administer Yammer and to delegate that with the new Yammer admin role. So it doesn't require a global admin or a verified admin. There is now an Azure AD integrated administration role. And the storyline capability, which is in public preview today and will become generally available very, very soon, can be enabled or disabled by administrators. So you can choose whether to enable people to share updates and experiences through storyline. The management of Viva Engage is directly integrated with Microsoft 365 and Microsoft Purview, so you have rich control over everything related to security, privacy, and compliance. And to get going, all you need to do is license your users for Yammer, which by the way, is on by default for most users. Very few customers have taken the intentional action of disabling Yammer licenses, and only in that case would you have to go and re-enable them. For upcoming premium features like Leadership Corner and Answers, Viva Suite licenses will be required, but those features are not yet available. They'll come in early 2023. Then you can deploy the Viva Engage app from the Teams Admin Center, and you can open up access to guests and across tenants using Azure B2B. So to bring it back to where we started and to wrap it up, we believe that an employee experience is and should be people-centric, about empowering people to find a sense of belonging, to feel connected, to feel like they have a voice and can express and share their expertise and experience, and be part of a mission that they can contribute to. I'll share these slides with you so that you've got some opportunity to use them for adoption materials, but these are the core use cases for Viva Engage: building communities, engaging leaders and employees, crowdsourcing knowledge, answers, and ideas, empowering individuals to share their updates, experiences, and work and perspectives, and finally, strengthening connections and building personal networks across the organization. These core use cases are extremely powerful at the organizational level. If you zoom out to the organizational level and think about what happens when you connect people and spark engagement all the way from the executive suite to the front line, across all business silos, working groups, teams, departments, and divisions, you have the ability to improve well-being and professional development, which leads to greater employee retention and satisfaction. Importantly, you can activate people to contribute their best at work, which then strengthens alignment and agility for the organization and accelerates your organization's innovation, responsiveness, and resilience. These are big, important organizational objectives. And through our Work Trend Index and the Forrester Total Economic Impact studies that we released last week, we have data to back these claims. And I'd like to close my part before we get to Q&A by talking about why engagement matters, why Viva Engage. At Microsoft, we strive to empower every individual and organization on the planet to achieve more. And for decades, we've produced tools that improve individual and team productivity. But having a tool that empowers you to be more productive does not actually make you more productive. What makes you more productive? What makes you lean in to your work and contribute your best self and your best effort? It's engagement. When people are connected, they know where they can contribute. If you're hearing from your leaders and your communicators what the strategy and vision is of the organization, if you're clear about the mission and you are clear about your objectives, you know where you can put and focus your effort. When you're included, you know your contribution matters. You know that what you do has impact, and you're recognized for that impact. And when you're invested, you want to contribute. You feel like it gives you innate satisfaction and to contribute to the mission. Empowered with the right tools, you're able to do it. Activated, you do. So there's this interesting and nuanced connection between engagement and actually achieving business objectives. Engagement makes people care, makes people lean in, contribute their best selves at work, and leverage the productivity tools you've given them and the capabilities you've put into your digital workplace to achieve your organizational objectives. I'm going to close with this slide. I'm just going to leave this up so you can take screenshots if you want to. These are a set of resources about Viva Engage and Yammer. And I'd like to open back up to Michael to see if there are any questions that we want to answer or how we want to best use our last moments on this call. And I do apologize that my camera won't come on right now. I'll try to fix that as well.
No, that's quite all right. This is great stuff. And we want to thank you for being here. And yes, we do have questions. So there's a whole bunch. Jaspreet, how's your voice doing? Are you able to tee those up and call them out, or do you need one of us to?
Yep, now I can do that. All right, the first question is, are those short videos that you showed in the storyline pulling from the other communities or from a particular community that you are in?
There we go. Great question. So stories will be available at first only on storylines. So it's a way for individuals to capture the moment and share experiences through short videos and photos. Stories will not at first be available in communities. We are looking forward to an opportunity to bring them to communities. It's just not part of our GA, generally available V1 release. So, wherever you see a stories carousel in the home feed and elsewhere, you will be seeing stories from people you follow, as well as suggested stories from people you don't yet follow. And those stories in that carousel will stay visible until you've watched them or for 30 days. So that carousel will stay fresh. Now, the stories themselves that you create will stay on your storyline. So if I'm about to come into a meeting with you and we haven't met before, I can actually go to your storyline and learn more about you from your posts and your stories. So they persist on your storyline. They're discoverable by others for up to 30 days. And they are at first only for storylines and not for communities.
Right, thanks, Dan. Next one is, when is the expected timeline for storylines to be released?
Great question. So Storyline is available today in public preview. A Yammer admin can go into the little gear in the upper right, click Manage Storyline, and turn it on in public preview. It's off by default in public preview. It will be on by default, but can be turned off when we release to worldwide general availability, which will be in the coming weeks, I will say. It's very soon. So Storyline, even in public preview, is feature complete. What you will get in GA is exactly what you have in public preview today. I do encourage you to turn it on and give it a try. Stories, and Storyline allows you again to create with posts or stories. Stories, the short videos and images will go into public preview in the next, let's say, month or two. So we'll have more to say about that at Ignite. And we look forward to enabling you to try stories in public preview before the end of the year. They will become generally available in early 2023. Great question. And by the way, the same early 2023 timeline is when the new Viva Suite capabilities like Leadership Corner and Answers will become available as well.
All right, keep an eye out, everyone. Next is, would all the information be in the States, similar to how the MS Forms is, or there is an option for it to reside elsewhere like Canada?
Great question. So with Viva Engage, remember, whenever you have questions about how it works or governance or the technical aspects of it, remember it's backed by Yammer services. So the answers will almost always or always be exactly what they are for Yammer. Yammer is available in 2 regions. It's available in North America and in Europe. In North America, it's hosted in the US. We do not yet have country-based regions for Yammer or Viva Engage. So all of our customers, tens of millions worldwide, are choosing either to have their data and content hosted in the US or in the EU.
Okay. Next one is, wondering if it hits multilingual requirements for our organization, like chats and channel posts. Will there be an option to translate posts and comments?
Excellent question. Yes, absolutely. That's already in Yammer today, so it flows automatically into Viva Engage. You get the same little translate option. If I post something in Swedish and you see it, you'll have a translate option that will translate it into your local language. So that is available. It uses AI-based translation, so it's not the structured multilingual that SharePoint Pages offer, where a human being actually translates it. It's using similar capabilities to what we use in Teams.
That's great. Next one, I think, is in general, you did talk about it a little, but is Viva Engage replacing Yammer?
Yeah, great question. So the way to think about it is Viva Engage is the integrated experience that brings Yammer's scenarios and superpowers into Teams and very soon into Outlook as well. So Viva Engage is the integrated experience. Yammer is the standalone experience on web, desktop, and mobile. And the capabilities of Storyline will appear, and Stories will appear in both. The new capabilities for Viva, Leadership Corner and Answers particularly, those will light up first in the Viva Engage apps in Teams and Outlook. We're in the process of determining exactly how to bring those to Yammer. But the bottom line is Yammer is not going away. We are continuing to invest in it, and it will be brought along this journey. We'll have more to say over the next few months, but if you have users who prefer to use Yammer and the standalone app, they're definitely making a good investment in doing that. Think of Yammer as the standalone app, and we will bring it along the journey. But we're starting with the integrated experience of Viva Engage and Teams Network.
All right, thank you. Next one is, can answers be activated to a private community, or will it be accessible by the whole organization?
Great question. So at first, answers is an open space that you can think of as enterprise-wide, as opposed to a specific community. So it's really designed in the V1 to support enterprise-wide social Q&A, asking questions when you have no idea who the right person to ask is, getting those questions to the right experts, getting answers, and preserving that knowledge. That said, the licensing for Viva for answers will be one where if you are, you will need the Viva Suite license to ask a question. The question will then be able to reach people who aren't necessarily Viva Suite customers, as long as they're experts. But the license will effectively control if you have the answers tab in the app, and if you have the ability to ask questions. So there is a way to sort of massage to, if you want to restrict it a bit more, but it's not the same as making a private community. Whatever questions are asked in answers will be available across the organization.
Great.
Really great questions.
Next one is, are stories stored on a user's OneDrive?
Excellent question. I was assuming we would get this one. Yes. All content shared, all files shared to your storyline are stored in your OneDrive. And now that includes stories, which are images or videos, but it also includes if you create a post and attach an image, a video, or a file, anything that is attached to a storyline share is stored in your OneDrive. We create a special container in OneDrive that is not easily findable. It's meant to be out of sight, out of mind. And that special container, for those of you who are super technical, is an additional document library that is a peer to the document library that you see everywhere as your OneDrive, as your My Files. So there's this separate document library. It's effectively hidden and out of sight and out of mind. That's where we store things. There's no real reason for a user or an administrator to ever need to go and manage it. But if you need to, you can get to it from a URL. And if you need to do some troubleshooting or something like that. But it is stored in your OneDrive, which means it gets all of the life cycle security, compliance, privacy of OneDrive. And if a person leaves your organization and you're going through processes of cleaning up that user and cleaning up their data and getting rid of it, you'll easily be able to get rid of their storyline content as well.
That's great. I think that's all the questions we have so far.
Great. Well, those are awesome questions. I'm trying to think of what other sort of typical FAQs I get. I would, since we've had this resource slide up here for a moment, I would like to call out near the bottom the fast track line. Someone mentioned fast track to me earlier today as well. If you have 150 users or more in Microsoft 365, you're eligible for fast track benefits. And fast track is an opportunity to engage with our own engineers or engineers of our partners to help support your deployment and adoption of our technology. So we have a Microsoft Viva offering, and they can do things like, for example, getting you into native mode, helping deploy all company. They can help you get up to speed, and it's free. It's available, no additional charge. So I really strongly recommend, if you haven't tapped into Fast Track yet, and if you're eligible, you reach out and start an engagement. It's free and it's a no-brainer in my opinion. So I'd love to call that out. And secondly, do feel free to reach out to us. You can follow me. You can reach out to us through the community, ask questions. Let's keep the discussion going because we want to make sure that you're successful. We want to make sure we're providing you the right resources in the resources hub at the very top. The only way we can know if we're doing the right thing is through your feedback. So we really look forward to your engagement and feedback in Viva Engage.
Thank you, Dan. Dan, there are two
Thank
more
you.
questions. Do we have time quickly?
Mike, are we good with a couple more quick questions?
Yeah, we got about 4 minutes if you're good. It's up to
I'm
you.
good. Totally.
Okay. So another one is the second it's turned on for the whole organization, will they have access to it, or do they have to be added to the community page? We were looking into making a team and mandating all employees, but I believe the team limit is 10,000 and we have roughly 15,000 people, which is why we are exploring this.
Yeah, Viva Engage or Yammer communities are much more effective ways to bring people together at scale, at any scale. I'm sure most of us have been in teams that even have 20, 30, 40 people, and it starts getting very difficult to follow conversations, know what you should be engaged with, et cetera. Communities are a better engine for broad scale communications and engagement, regardless of the fact that Teams has a technical limit of, I think it's actually 25,000 now. But even with that technical limit, communities are a better engine for broad scale communications and engagement like that. To take advantage of this, all you need to do, to take advantage of this, you probably already can, because by default, most Microsoft 365 users have a Yammer license that is required, but it's on by default for most Microsoft 365 users. And you have to have access to Yammer, which is there in the waffle as long as you have the license. So most of it's already there, and you have a community that's there by default called All Company that includes all your users, and you can rebrand it and you can rename it and make it your own, and that can be your 15,000 user channel for communicating and engaging broadly in your organization. So it's all there already. If you then want to integrate it into Teams, the step you need to take is to deploy the Viva Engage app, which is about a 2-minute task. You go into Teams Admin Center and you add it to one of your app policies, and it blasts the app out into Teams. I would strongly encourage you to pin it so it's there by default instead of being buried under the 3 dots. And it, in about 2 minutes, you're done with the deployment. Teams policies take about 24 hours to refresh. So about 24 hours later, everyone in your organization will have the Viva Engage app. They'll have the All Company community that maybe you've renamed and rebranded. And they'll be able to join in and take advantage of any discussion and any announcements you post in All Company will automatically send notifications to people across Teams and Outlook. So it's super easy to get up and running.
Yep. Last question, Dan. If new employees join, will they have all posts from the past or only posts from the time they joined?
Excellent question. That's one of the huge advantages of communities, is that they do a really great job, and storylines, they do a really great job of capturing and preserving knowledge and experience over time. So yes, when people join and they're able to tap in and catch up not only on what's happening now, but what's happened in the past. Everything is there. It's certainly more effective for that kind of use case than, say, email distribution lists where they won't have it if they weren't there at that time. So yes, it's a knowledge preservation. You join as a new employee and you have access to what you need to get to, even if it happened before you joined. So thank you so much, Michael and team. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here. And I look forward to coming back and sharing some of these capabilities in more depth.
Thank you. This is a great session. And I'm seeing all the thank you, amazing. So yeah, just exciting stuff. And I know our customers, in healthcare and in life sciences, a lot of times being a regulated industry, there's always that kind of reticence, but with, all the stuff that's come in with security and compliance in the back end now with Yammer and other things, it's kind of like a fresh relaunch of all this.
It sure is. Yeah, and maybe someday we should have a security and compliance session specifically, but we have customers in many regulated industries using these, and part of it is the tech you have to have in place to support it, and part of it is just being intentional about the use cases. There are certain use cases where regulated information isn't being exchanged, and therefore opens up opportunities to accelerate adoption. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, thank you, everybody. Just as a quick reminder, we'll quick share my screen. After today's presentation, as soon as the recording is available to me, I'll download it. I'll then upload it and we will post it at aka.ms/HLS blog. Please be sure to come out here. Take a look around. You can see here was the post, the announcement around this. But we have a lot of content around healthcare and life sciences and tons of information coming out around Viva. And this will be a great place for our customers to find that. And of course, also the Viva blog will be the other. But thank you everybody for attending today's session. With that, I'm going to stop the recording. I want to bid you all have a great day, great rest of your week. Take care, everyone. Bye now.